News Now.
Well, all new at 6, a new study has revealed a wide range of sounds that Hawaiian monk seals make when they're underwater.
And many have never been documented before. Here's our Jim Mendoza with the story.
When Hawaiian monk seals vocalize underwater like this one is doing, the call isn't just random noise. It means something.
We found that wild Hawaiian monk seals are producing lots of vocalizations all of the time.
Kirby Parnell is the lead author of a new study that found Hawaiian monk seals are very vocal. Scientists knew the marine mammals made at least 6 distinct calls based on what they heard from monk seals in managed care. Parnell wanted to know how many more they make in the wild.
In marked, it's .11.
To capture the calls, passive acoustic recorders called sound traps were placed on the ocean floor in 5 areas stretching from Molokai to the northwestern Hawaiian Islands, favorite sites for Hawaiian monk seals.
It's very easy to just set down this passive acoustic recorder on the ocean or on the seafloor, and it just records almost everything.
After the sound traps were retrieved, the audio was reviewed and cataloged.
We actually looked at more than 4,500 hours of recordings manually. So it took a huge team. I think I had 12 interns in total over the last 4 years helping me sift through that data.
The data revealed Hawaiian monk seals make at least 25 distinct underwater vocalizations. That's about 20 more than was previously documented. They also mix and match them into different call combinations.
We also found a really unique call type called the whine. And we found that that is associated with their foraging behavior underwater.
Parnell is a PhD candidate in the UH Marine Mammal Research Program. Her initial project began years ago when she worked with a Hawaiian monk seal while studying at the University of California, Santa Cruz.
I was fortunate enough to get to study his underwater vocal repertoire and describe that for the first time. So that's kind of what led me out to Hawaii to study the wild monk seals.
The underwater recording started back in 2020. NOAA Fisheries, UH Manoa's Hawaii Institute of Marine Biology, and the Hawaiian Monk Seal Research Program all helped with the study. Parnell's team included undergraduate and graduate students, plus advisors and collaborators.
I definitely could not have done this without them.
Only 1,600 Hawaiian monk seals are left. As scientists learn more about how man-made noise impacts the endangered species, they now have a longer list of Hawaiian monk seals' underwater vocalizations. And in time, they may get a better idea of what they all mean. I'm Jim Mendoza for Hawaii News Now.